Welcome to the Aloha Insight Introduction webinar. Our agenda for today is, first of all, we will be looking at logging into the system. Then we'll switch over and look at the three icons that are in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see those listed there. Then we'll go over to the left side of the Insight website and look at the menu headers. All right, and they're all listed there. We'll go into each one. We'll touch on them to let you know what's there, but we're going to go into the Aloha Insight header and discuss some things there, and then we're going to finish up with a tool called the Report Viewer and explain that. All right, so that's kind of our layout for this webinar. What I'm going to do here is share my desktop with you. And basically, when we come into the website, you'll have to log in. You'll have your own username and password, but if you click log in, basically that'll bring you in to the Insight website. Now, if we go to the upper right-hand corner here, you'll see log off. That's rather self-explanatory, but we recommend that for admins so that if they walk away for a coffee break or whatever, that nobody comes in after them and resets things. Next is the help. This is a great library for you. You'll see things like the release notes. So if we go into the release notes, you'll get an idea of what that looks like here. We'll get them up here full size so you can see it. But basically listing the things that are new and exciting in each version of Insight. Next, you'll see basically some things that you can download as far as Adobe Reader. Many of these reports now need Adobe in order to view them, or the older ones, the Crystal Report Viewer, with anything that may still have a Crystal engine type system on it. All right, as we go down, you'll see help files, frequently asked questions. Then we get into help files for individual things. Some of these things we're going to be looking at today, like the Drilldown Viewers, the Manager Logbook, and a couple others here. So these are great little tools for coming in and getting help files on those products. You'll see that we interface with general ledger products, whether that's ACPAC or QuickBooks or whoever. Also, we do payroll integration. As we go further down here, you'll see basically then we start in with some add-ons like our store value product. You can go in there and talk about the setup or different things here. And then further down is our loyalty program. So report guides and user guides and things like that. So it's a wealth of information here, and you can use it as your library. The next one is the Contact Us icon, and if you ever need help, this is your lifeline to our support team. Basically, if you take the drop down here, you could pick your store that you're having a question or a problem with, or you could leave it at all stores if the problem is occurring at all stores. Then basically, we give you choices of modules that you can use. All right, so as we go down here, you'll see things for loyalty, for report builder. Even if it's a report that you're having trouble with or a question with, you can come here and list the name of the report. Make sure you put your name, your telephone number, and your email address. And then basically a small short description of what the incident is. And then if you click in this down box, you'll see it puts in today's date, the time, and your name from your login. And here you can give us great amount of detail as you can on that to help us help you out. Now, it's not showing here, but after 4 p.m. Central Time, you'll have a little box down here for emergencies that you can click. Now, when that emergency arises, if you click that, it'll page an individual in our Insight group to get back to you. Now, we have people available 365, 24 hours a day, but they're not here in the office that much. All right, so it would page who's ever on call, and what they'll do is they'll get right back to you and find out all the details and try to solve your problem for you. But if you see that checkbox, please treat it with respect. Typically, if you're going to do something like a question about a report and flag that, we're not going to get back to you that same night. It'll probably be the next day to answer a question like that. What we consider emergencies is not being able to sell or redeem store value cards or polling issues or things like that. All right, so it's your lifeline that you can fill out to get help from our support team. Now, as we look at the website itself, over on the right-hand side, you'll see reference documentation. So if we get in here, we give you a lot of starting guides that will help with store value, loyalty, or insight, and a lot of good information. For instance, the Aloha Insight, we automatically email to new employees that are created in Insight. And what it does, it tells them about logging into the system, tells them what a data center is, explains about reports, and is just a good little primer for them before they even get to the website. Under the training, basically, you can take any of our classes here, webinars. You'll see that these are pre-recorded, so any ones that you want to hit 24/7 are available here. The 4 basic ones we have here, and you can always hit more to get in and find other ones that you may be interested in. Okay, so things like for our dashboard, which we'll be looking at today, tips and tricks, or store value information, just different ones here that are recorded for you so that you can pull them up at your convenience 24/7. All right, so that's basically the training videos. Now, as we look here, we also have announcements down at the bottom here. So let's go back up, down below here and get a list here. But if you look here, the announcements, we don't release them every single day or every single week. So it may be that you just want to look at this occasionally, monthly or whatever. And you can see here the last one was November of 2015. All right. So basically, that's not just the headers on the side here, just to kind of guide you and direct you for different things that you may need. As we move to the middle section, we've got 3 information areas here for you. One is scheduled reports, non-scheduled reports, and something down at the bottom here called current day polling. All right, now, as far as current day polling, that is a system that will poll on current day's information. When you get Insight, by default, it polls on yesterday's date of business because that's what most people want, but you can set up current day polling on the current day's business if you would like. In order to do that, you have to contact our support team and request it. All right. Now, you have these 3 pieces of information here, but you can move them around. You can't add any more than these 3, but you can certainly move them around. So if I move up to my scheduled reports, you can see, or down to my non-scheduled, I get the little crosshairs. And on each of those headers, what that allows you to do is hold down your left mouse button and drag it to where you want it to go. So if I wanted current day polling up here at the top, all I have to do is drag it there, and now I see the information scrolling by here for my current day's business. All right. Or if I want to keep scheduled on top and put current polling in the middle, I can do that. So you got the flexibility here of dragging and dropping those 3 fields to accommodate the way you like the layout if you're using the portal. Now, when I say if you're using the portal, because if we start over here on the left-hand side on the Home tab, what you'll see is you can also show the company, what we call the company intranet. All right, so if you want to use this for your employees, all you have to do is send your company logo to us. What we'll do is we'll then post that on your website so that people, when they log in, they'll see this. And we do call it an intranet because it can be turned into an intranet. Yeah, if you want to send us links for safety procedures and human resource things and just anything, employee manuals, things like that, we will post those links here so that your employees now can use it as a company intranet. All right, as we move down to the left here, what you're going to see is that the Aloha Insight is where we're going to spend most of our time today, so we'll come back to that. But if you decide you want to use our loyalty program, which is a way of giving awards to your customers for the amount of time they spend at your restaurant, you can come in here with loyalty for setting it up. You set up your cards and your bonus plans and things like that. Next one down is our store value. So cards that have a value to them that put money on them, and then the customers can use that in your restaurant. Again, setting up the cards and adjusting the cards and card lookup and things like that. We have something called Aloha Online, which can be used for your loyalty program. And basically, you set it up here, but it puts a link on your own personal company website that your customers can click on and get information as to where they sit in the loyalty program. So for instance, if you're running a world tour of beers, they have to buy 50 beers before they get a jacket or something to that effect. Basically, that customer could go to your website, click on that link, and see that he's already bought 36 beers, and he could look at the other 14 that he needs to get his jacket and maybe go out and get a few of those tonight. So very nice little tool. System setup is where good logical step after your intro webinar here to go to system setup, because that's the essentials for setting up your company, setting up your stores, setting up your users, and setting up your security classes to determine who can do what on the website. And then down below is the support and training. So some of that training schedules and stuff are here as well. But on your support site, you can see that basically you need to set up an account here, all right? And basically, if you already have an account, you can click there to log in. If you want to request account, you click here. Or if you do not have an account but need to log a ticket, all you have to do is click there. And then basically what it does, it brings up the contact us that we looked earlier with all that information. All right, so that is the layout over here on the left-hand side. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you back up here to Aloha Insight, because there's a lot of things I want to show you here on this intro. All right, so first of all, some of these are other webinars like Alert Setup and Alert Viewer, your custom line item, and down at the bottom here, Report Builder is a separate webinar. All right, but I want to take you into a few of these others. All right, so we have what we call the dashboard. All right, if you click on your dashboard, this is going to give you some great information on your restaurant. All right, so if you look here, you'll see your net sales, your labor percents, your per person average, and again, you'll see the little dots here. If I go to the next page, your comps, your promos, and your voids. So a lot of goodies here, and you also have the arrows here if you want to come back again, but your guest counts as well. Down below we have key graphs. All right, so you got your key graphs, you got your labor hours for your current company week. Again, with little arrows or with little radio buttons there in the middle, you can jump to the next side. And now you'll see that we have kind of a graphic metric for you here that you can take a look and see what your top selling items are. All right, as we move further down the list, there's all the metrics there for you, so you can see your stores and their net sales and their net sales variances and labor hours and all that other good stuff. All right, so it's really a dynamic little deal there, but that's your basically your what we call the dashboard. All right, so that's one feature here. Another one I want to show you, we talked about current day polling. Here it is in a little bit bigger screen where it's got a little bit more information for you. So if we go on top here, you'll see your time zone that's set in company setup. You'll see which store sold the most, which store sold the least, and then your total net sales. All right, your stores will scroll by on a ticker tape here showing your total sales, your guest counts, and when it last polled. And then you've got control buttons over here that you can bring it back quickly. So I can back it up, I can take it forward, or I can pause it and take a look at what I want to look here as far as my stores are concerned. All right. Now, as we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that we can go to another date in the past. So today, let's say it's the 27th. I can go backwards in time to pick a previous date. Now, we have these stores are underlined, so I can click on these to go to what we call our drill down viewer. All right, so you'll see the drill down viewer over here. And basically what that does, I can go into my Houston store just by clicking on this, and that brings up my drill down viewer with information on that particular store. All right. If I go down below here and click on view details in drill down viewer, it takes me to all my stores. All right. So we'll come back here and look at the drill down viewer in just a second, but I want to show you the manager logbook. All right. So manager logbook has two pieces. The first is the configuration, and basically this replaces the red book or the black book or the blue book that the managers used to record information. They can now do that on the Insight website. First of all, you decide the sections to display. So like shift changes and shift priorities, all those would be over here on the left, and then you pick and choose what you want to display on the right. All right, as we go over here now, you define your own shifts by clicking the add button and calling them whatever you want to call them. And again, you can go in and edit that if you'd like to do that. Same way with shift changes, you can add whatever you want there. So if it's clean station or call in figures or new task or whatever it may be, you can add your own. You can delete ones if you want to take them out of there. Same way with performance log categories, you add your own. All right, and again, you have complete control over there. You can add daily specials for the current month. So all you have to do is just double click it there, and you can see the specials. All right, you can set those up. And then over on the right hand side here are reminders. All right, so we've got, again, just some reminders that are there ready to go for managers to kind of remind them of things that need to be done. All right, as we go further down here, there we go, kind of scrolling here to show you. But basically that, kind of information allows us to configure the manager logbook. Now, when the manager gets ready with what we call security classes within Insight, we can take the configuration line away from them so they can't configure it, but give them access to the logbook itself. So if we go into the logbook, again, if we look here, just the things that we see with the key metrics that we ask for on the configuration, the gross sales, the net sales, things like that. As we go further down here, they can enter the weather. So as they come in with their weather, they can say, hey, it's sunny or it's cloudy or rainy or sleety or snow, whatever it may be, and what effect that had on the business. All right, because we can see here as we go down the business effect. They can type in there whatever they want. Here the reminders would show any reminders that we configured there. As we move over to the left here, you'll see the specials. And as we go further down, you'll see the information. Basically, let's move that over a little bit so you can see it better. Here's any shift changes, any shift priorities, any messages, any performance logs, any global task. So the manager has total access to those type things from his manager logbook over here under the Aloha Insight header. All right, now let's go back and look at the drill down viewer. So for information, basically, if you want to do the drill down viewer, whoop, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong one there. So let's move back here and let me get my system closed out here. There we go. We want to go to the drill down viewer, and then basically on the drill down viewer, what you're going to see is we have things that are underlined, and anything underlined you can either drill down into or use somehow. All right, so if we move all the way over to the right here, we see labor, and that's underlined. So I can actually click on labor and basically sort that column into ascending or descending. All right, so I can see, my best labor percent was at my Grapevine downtown store, and I can click labor again and see my worst percent, which is horrible, at San Antonio Riverwalk. All right, you can do it with your net sales, same way, in ascending or descending, depending upon your choice. And as we move over and look at the store side of it, you can see these are all mixed up now. They're not alphabetical, so what we do is we click twice, puts it in reverse order, and now we're back in alphabetical order. You can do regions and areas within Insight, and again, you can drill down now into any of these, but let's just give you an example here at my Fort Worth downtown store. So I drill in, and again, we see that same thing we saw on current day polling if we select a single store. All right, so you can see the 12 markers there that give you great information on this store: category, sales, and voids, and menu, and labor, and deposits, and schedule. You can read them there, all right? But great information that we get on the store. And the reason we call it the Drilldown Viewer is here we are in category sales. I've got a miscellaneous category and I got a beverage category. So if I drill down in my miscellaneous category, I see all the items in that category with their counts, their item sales, and their percent of food sales. All right, but we got these underlined, which means I can take any of these items, like the Aloha Special, and drill down further. And so we go down into that, and it says, hey, you've got breakfast and lunch day parts defined for this. We sold 22 at breakfast, so let's drill down into breakfast. And now we get into breakfast, and our little demo site has a especially long breakfast to 3 p.m. But anyway, we sold 12 of those at noon. And again, we see the counts, the item sales, and the percent. But our time is still underlined, so we can continue to drill down in the noon hour. And now we get to the point where we see the individual checks, the time they were open, they're closed, who the server was, the check number, the count, the sales, the percents like before, and even the checks are underlined, which means we can go into an individual check and see what was on there with the Aloha Special. So we had a couple turkey breast and chips and a can of Coke. All right, now that's pretty dynamic to go down to individual check level, but we left a breadcrumb trail, which means we can go back at any point and start our drill down again. So if I want to go back to the Aloha Special, now I can start drilling down into my chicken salad, all right, and start that whole process. So you can see it's a pretty dynamic tool to be able to get information all the way down to check level. Now, people using this, they love it, but their complaint was that we cannot configure anything in Drilldown Viewer. It gives us great information, but we can't configure anything. So we came up with the Dynamic Drilldown Viewer. And the Dynamic Drilldown Viewer, basically when you get it, you have panels that are assigned. And you do have a system panel that is read-only. So this is locked in like the drill down viewer is. You can't change this. But one thing the Dynamic Drill Down Viewer gives you is your own individual panel on with your own name on it. All right. So if we come in here and I choose my name, basically what we see is a panel that is now configurable by you. All right. So as we come over here, basically you're going to see that we've got a little calendar that lets you determine your date range. So right now it's set on yesterday, but if I click the little calendar there, I get a lot of choices that I can use for my date range. We give you quite a choice here on those. Current calendar month, current day, even the last so many days, or the next so many days, or last company week, and all the way down at the bottom again is yesterday. So I'll leave it at yesterday because that's how it's set. You could also do a custom date range if you wanted to do it. It starts with today's date, and let's say I want to carry that out through February. So let's go to February here. And I'm going to do that through February the 12th. All right. Now, what would happen is I would get information starting today, going through to and including the 12th, but after that, I'm not going to get new information. So if you're going to use a custom date range, we caution you to keep setting that ahead into the future and keep an eye on it and keep doing that until you get tired of doing that, and then you can switch it back to use one of the selected date ranges that we give you. All right. So that's an example of the date range. You also can select your stores. So if I click on the little store icon, right now we're going to all stores, but Insight lets you do some things. So if we go select here, we can do areas, regions, and store groups. So if I want to select a store, all I have to do is hit the little icon here to get a list of all my stores that I've loaded into Insight. And now I can do my Las Vegas downtown store as the only store that's going to be reported on. All right, but I'm going to leave that undone. I'll leave it at all stores. The middle area now, you'll see, goes by time chunks based on your date range. So the date range was yesterday. That means I can go backwards in time one day at a time because it was set for yesterday. So if I click the back arrow, you see there's the numbers for the 25th and the 24th and the 23rd. All right. That would work as well if I had last company week. If I had last company week, I would be able to go backwards in time by chunks of weeks. All right. Now, as we move back over here to the left, you'll see basically that we can send it to a printer. So if we want to print it, we can do it. We can go as a CSV file or come off as Word with this information. Now, some more configuration that you can do here is on the tabs. So I'm going to start with this tab over here on the left. We'll just stay here because all the tabs are very similar. But if we right click on that, what you're going to see is you can copy this to other panels. So if I've got somebody who has their own panel that wants that area sales, I can copy it to their panel. I can edit it. We're going to do that so you can see. I can delete it. I can assign this area to one of the others. I can manage panels from here, or I can make this the default tab. Now, it already is the default tab. It's always the one on the left over here. It's already the default. All right, but you got those choices, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this tab so I show you some of the functionality of being able to manipulate data. Now, each tab is made up of what they call pages. So these are drill down areas. I can go into areas and stores and dates and employee names. All right. But on the tab itself, you'll see that you have control over the name of it. That's a user-defined field. So I don't have to call it area sales. I can call it anything I want. As we go down into the pages, and I can pick any one, I'll just take area. Now you'll see that we get other things that we can do to design our own page. So again, we don't have to call it area. We can call it anything we want. And now what happens is we can add columns. So if I scroll down a little bit here, what you'll see is that we've got individual buttons down here that allows you to add columns. Now, your first column is locked in, all right? So you cannot change the data on that one. That's locked in, but you can control the name, all right? But any column you create after that, it's your choice of anything that's on the list here. So you see a lot of good ones here with cash tips and declared tips and gross sales and labor percents and things like that. So you determine what that column data is and then whatever you want to call it. And you can add columns just about as many as you need. But, when you get out to your columns, you can see that too, you can delete columns as well. So if it's grayed out right now, but if I wanted to select a column, you'll see that that lights up, and now I can delete that column if I'm done with it. All right. Underneath the columns, you'll see the if I go to print these off or anything, I can put blank spaces after the columns, or I can put separator lines between them. Down at the bottom here, you'll see that I can also sort these columns individually by ascending or descending. So basically it allows me to say, hey, column 1 is ascending, column 2 is descending, and like that. All right. You can see here, there's, to get to the final column, you can hit the arrows here to get to it. So there's column 6, or I can go back with the double arrows to come back in to see my second column on through here. All right. You can save it once you're done. Make sure you do, or I could close out from here just by clicking on that. All right. Now, let me go all the way to the left over here, because you'll see I can't really show you because this has the maximum amount of pages that it can handle right now. But if I had room there, I could add a new page after any of those pages. So if I want to put it after area, and again, I'm not going to save that. We'll just know that you've got the ability to do that very thing. You can go and basically add pages down below here after a certain area. So if I want to add after area, I'd hit add page, and that would put the page in its position. Or I could delete pages. So you can see that the drill down viewer and the drill down viewer and the dynamic drill down viewer give you a lot of capabilities there, and able on the drill down viewer to be able to do certain things that the drill down viewer couldn't do, particularly giving you some functionality to configure. All right, so we've come down, looked at a few of these. Now I want to finish this out with something called Report Viewer. All right, Report Viewer is really the lifeblood of Insight, because this is where you go to create reports. And when we get and talk about Report Viewer, you'll see Report Builder above it. That's a separate webinar, but Report Viewer are stock reports that are available to you all the time. But Report Builder would let you build your own reports based on the line items that are offered to you. All right, so today I'll touch on Report Viewer. Basically, when we go into Report Viewer, it's based on categories. All right, so if we look at the categories here, we choose whatever category we're after here. And so if we stay in accounting, what you're going to see is that we've got several line items that you can choose for your report. Now, when you look here, you're going to see some reports have a little asterisk and some don't. All right, the ones with the asterisks are custom reports that have been built in the Report Builder. But the ones without asterisks are there for you all the time. And you can see that accounting really has quite a few for you to choose from. So if I want void by day part, or I want promo detail, or I want over short, or whatever, I can do that by going to accounting. Okay, we'll see in our voids. Well, those voids are all made up of custom ones. So let's take a look at some of the other here. Key indexes. If I want performance measures or speed of service, I can come to my key indexes to do that. If I want comps, well, the comps I already looked at. That was all deal. So let's go down here and look at payments. That's also a custom one. Here's your audit. So audit exceptions or polling errors by type, or store group list, or things like that. You'll see that you have the ability of a lot of reports here in order to accomplish what you're looking for. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to menu, and again we've got a lot of things in here with menu mix and quick combo sales mixes and things like that, but I'm going to just run a good old menu mix report. All right, now when we do that, we have an example of what that is going to look like when you're all said and done. So I can click on my menu mix example and see exactly what our report is going to look like. And the nice part about the example is we'll give you numbers for fields to help identify what those fields are. All right, so if I didn't know what percent total dollars were, I can go down to number 5 down below here and see the store. Well, that's the name of the store, I guess they've got there. So that's a little bit off because the percent total dollars should be configured there. So that got a little bit off on our demo site. But you'll see that we identify those fields, and you can follow, if you don't know what they're all about, you can follow down below here, line up the numbers and see what that field is. All right, so we always give you examples of those. When you're ready to run that, if that's what you want, and that's what we'll run today, you click Next. And what Next does, it brings you to a tab here that is all ready to go as far as picking stores, picking report settings, and picking a schedule. All right, so first on the stores, very similar to what we saw on the dynamic drill down viewer, we can do different things with home store. So when you set up users in Insight, you'll see you can put them in a home store or a home area or home region, and that individual could do that here, use his home store. If you have the authority to do it, you could select an area, region, or a store, and the store works just like it did in Dynamic Drill Down Viewer. We just click on it and pick a store, Houston, Silverado, click Next, and now this report is only going to go to the Houston, Silverado store. It's only, the information. But I'm going to do it for all stores. Next is your report settings. So again, your date range is set for yesterday. That's fine. But again, you've got those choices we saw again back in the dynamic drill down. All right. So a lot of choices with dates and stuff. We'll just leave it at yesterday. Same thing with the static date here. Same rules. You need to keep an eye on it. Now, as we get down below here, what you're going to see is you could view the report now. All right. If you wanted to do that, down below here, I got to scroll over a little bit here, if it'll let me. Nope, it's not going to let me. In the bottom right hand side is a button that can be changed. So let me just change my resolution here so you can see this a little bit better. Let me get that bumped up here. We'll just save those changes, and we'll come back to our deal. So we have a save button down here that you can see. Now if I go back up here and click view the report now, what you're going to see is it changes to a view button. All right, so from a save to a view, if I unflag it, it goes back to a save button. So that allows you to view the report right now. We can list this report on the portal if we want that. So again, here is the portal, and we'll have our scheduled report and non-scheduled. We can email the report to ourselves now if we wanted to do that. You could email the report at a defined schedule, all right? Or be careful with this one, share the report with all users. Now what that does, that allows all users to go in and change your settings on your report. So that's not something you may want to flag. Just think about that one for a while, because that's probably something that you want to leave unflagged. Down below here is your report name. So again, it's a user-defined field. You can put any name you want in there. Now, if we're going back to the right, you'll see other report options that will change based upon the type report that you're creating. So if I'm doing a loyalty or a store value, we'll see other options here than what we're showing now. So this one says, hey, I can list my stores separately. Well, that's exactly what I want to do, because it's a menu mix. I want to know what each store is doing. Do I want to list the dates separately? Well, I don't have to do that because I'm only doing yesterday. If it was last company week and I wanted to look at all 7 days, I could do that. But I'm not worried about that with yesterday. Do we list the modifiers with the items sold? This says yes, we'll look at the modifiers. Now, we can leave this leave it blank, and we'll get all our categories. Or if you want to use specified categories, you can flag it and then hit the little icon to present all your categories and pick and choose the categories that you want to see on this report. I'm going to just leave it unflagged so we get all our categories. Now, we have a choice back in Report Viewer. When we pick this report, it determines whether it's going to come off as an active report or not. All right, so it is because it's a PDF, but we can change that out if we want. We can make it a delimited file, we can make it Excel, we can make it a rich text format. All right. With the active reports, allows you to format it in different languages. So we've got a few of them here with German and Portuguese and Russian and Spanish. You could suppress currency symbols. So if you didn't want to see currency symbols in the headers and the data elements of the report, you could certainly do that. And then if you want a logo to appear on the report, you could say no logo if you didn't want one, or you can pick any of the other ones that have been loaded in company setup. So the company would set up the logos that you can see and use, and then you can just take the drop down and pick, if they give you more than one, the one that you want to use. All right, so we'll just leave it like it is. All right, so that is the report setting. Now, we could save it here, and that would go out to the portal as a non-scheduled report. But let's put it up above here so you can see how to do that. All right, so if we're going to schedule it, we have to click Report Schedule, and we have to make sure we turn it on to schedule the report. Now, we have every conceivable combination here for you. So this one says it starts at 9 a.m., but military time, so we can start it at midnight, 00, or we can go to 11 o'clock at night, 2300. And it doesn't have to be on the hour. It could be at the 15-minute after, 30-minute after, 45-minute after. We want to make sure we're got a time zone for wherever we are. It defaults to Central because, again, in company setup, that's the way it was set. But we've got Windows functionality here. If I'm in Venezuela, I can put it on Venezuela with all the Windows functionality. It'll take today's date as a start date, and again, you determine whether there's an end date or not. So in this case, with a menu mix, that's something I want to look at every single day. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that as no end date. Now, we set up the time, 9 o'clock Central Time. Down here it says daily, and it's every single day. This little box here allows you to control any day of the year. So if I wanted it the last day of the year, it'd be 365. If I wanted to do it on the 30th day of the year, I'd put 30 in there. So any day of the year you've got capability of doing. You can do it weekly. Again, weekly, all 52 weeks max in any 1 year here. Okay, so I can do it every 43rd week, and don't have to do it Monday through Friday. I could do it Monday, I could do it Wednesday, I could do it Friday, and just unflag the rest of them. And so it only reports those 3 days on the 43rd week. If we move to monthly, you'll see all the possible days of a month are here, all 31. So I can do it the 18th day, and all 12 months are here of the 8th month. Or I could flat out do just the 3rd Tuesday of every 4th month. So you see the flexibility here. I can come out and do the end of any company week, any of the fiscal period. I could do it of the fiscal year, the end of the month, the end of the pay period. Or, like I'm going to do today, is just once as soon as possible. Now, it defaults to sending the report only to you. But if you want to send it to other users, basically you can flag send report to other users, and then you would have to pick what we call a subscriber group. So if you don't have subscriber groups created, or none of the ones you have created will work, then you hit your subscriber button. And what happens is it lists all the groupings that are currently in your system. So if you're in brand new, it's going to be a blank box. And then any existing one you can highlight and edit. You can delete it, and if you delete it, it'll take it all the way out of the system. All right. Or you could copy it. All right. So if I have this group, that has the right people in it, but I need to add more people to it, I can just copy that, add those extra people, rename it, and now I don't have to recreate the wheel. All right, but if you don't have one, you have to click Add, and now you call your group whatever you want to call it. So in my case, what I like to do is I like to start with an asterisk in front, and we'll just call this Demo. Okay, so we got our little demo group there, and again, it's got a little asterisk in front of it, so it'll go right to the top of the list so we can see that. Now, once you got your name, you click Next, and now you get a list of all the employees that you've put in here into your Insight website, and you can pick them one at a time. Now remember, these are people that are going to see your report. You pick them one at a time. If they're all together, you can just slide your mouse down, holding your left mouse button, and bring all those people in. Or you could actually use your control key if you've got to skip over names to select people and bring those people in. But whatever you do, make sure you go down and find your own name, all right? Because what you've done is you've said, hey, I'm going to send it to this group of people, but remember what we did there is we took our name off of ourselves. We said, hey, we're not going to send it to me, we're going to send it to other users. So I have to make sure I'm in the group to get the information. And once I'm done configuring, I just save it. And it tells me how many are in my group. I got 13 in my group. And now that's the first step. There's our demo group. All right. All I have to do is close it down with Windows functionality with the little X in the upper right hand corner. And now all we have to do is the second part is make sure we put our demo group as the group that we're sending the report to. Now the last little flag here is a great little flag. All right, now provided we've set our users up properly, say it's our store managers, we've put them in their home store, and again you can do that on the user setup, but as long as each manager is in his home store and we've given him a security class that can only view their home store, then this little flag says, hey, you can base, everything's going to be based on the subscribers security. All right, so what happens here now, this report is going to go to all stores. Remember, we did that on the store selection. We left it at all stores. So when that store goes now to my gal that runs my San Diego store, then basically she only sees the San Diego information for the menu mix. She doesn't see anybody else's menu mix. So that's a dynamic little flag. All right, now we're all set. We've done all the configuration we need in Report Viewer here to create this report, so I'm going to save it. Well, before I save it, let me put it back to me only. I'm going to do that because those other people are actually NCR people. They'll come looking for me if I send it to all of them. And now you see it's processing. Where it's processing is on the portal. So if we go back to the portal, under the scheduled reports, we can see our menu mix report there processing. All right, so it tells me my next run, the scheduling interval has expired. All right, so here it is. It finished off. Now we see the date and the time that it processed. Now I've got little icons over here, so if I want to hit the little information box here, it gives me my report properties, and I can see the report name. I can see the category. Remember, we chose the menu category to get the menu mix. Here was when it was created. Here's who it was created by. If it's ever modified, here's the date and who modified it. And if it's ever scheduled, who did it and what the schedule was. So there's was ours, run once as soon as possible. That's why this says scheduling interval has expired, because we ran it once as soon as possible. But the other icons let me change things. So the calendar takes me back to my scheduled settings. So if I've done all this and I say, hey, I ran once as soon as possible, that looked good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it to 9 a.m. daily every single day. So I'll just put a 1 in there. And now save that, and it's going to do that very thing. It's going to run it every single day for me. All right. And then the pencil is your report settings. So basically, if we click on the pencil, we can go back here and say, hey, that was for yesterday. Now I want to do last company week or next 30 days or whatever it is. All right, so those are little things to do that. On any report, you can select the box over here and delete it if you're done with it, or I could rerun it. So let's say I ran this at breakfast and now I'm ready to run it after lunch, or I've done lunch and I'm ready to run it after dinner to incorporate those numbers into my menu mix. All right, so all I do is click it, and again, you can see there it is. It's processing again and basically pulls any new menus or anything else that may have been done in the menu mix report and pulls them now into the current time frame that I'm able to see those. All right, now the payoff is we pull up our menu mix, so I'm going to click on it, okay, and there's my PDF file, so I'm going to double click it, and now here is our menu mix. All right, basically has all our stores. You know, we saw the example of this earlier, and basically in this format. So we're looking at the layout here. Let's see if we can. But if we go down, we see the menu mix items for there. We can see the next store coming up here. Okay, and the menu mix for it. So here's our menu mix report that was generated. Again, we didn't have much to do there except put the stores, the report settings, and schedule it. And what Insight did is they took that report now and made it available to us very, very easily. All right, so that is how we create a report. All right, now let's talk about the agenda here as we sum it up. Basically, what we've got is we talked about logging into the system. We went to the top and looked at those three icons, logging off and getting the help. Remember, that's your lifeline to the support team. You put in your information there and they'll get back to you. We looked at contact us. Well, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The contact us is your lifeline. The help was our library to get information on different line items within Insight, or look at the latest release notes, or download Adobe Reader, or do whatever we needed to do there. A lot of goodies in there. We went through the menu headers and actually went into each one to kind of look at the things that were there for loyalty and store value and system setup and all those, but spent most of our time in the Aloha Insight header doing things like the Drilldown Viewers, the Logbook, the current day polling, and then we finally finished up with the Report Viewer, which is the tool that we use to create reports within Insight that we don't have to put together like we do in Report Builder. They're stock, they're already there. All we have to do is give those parameters of the store or stores, the report settings, and if we want to schedule it or not. So that's our introduction webinar. Thank you for joining me.